Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for being here for this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Before we get started, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, so could everybody please rise? And Councilwoman McDonough, would you lead us? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to remember all the men and women who are fighting for our freedom. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Okay. Once again, welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here, and thank you all at home for watching this meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Carmel. Tonight's Town Board meeting is a voting meeting, and the date is Wednesday, July 18th, 2018. And for the record, all Town Board members are present with us this evening. This is our Town Clerk, Ann Spofford, all the way down to my right. Ann, thanks. And all the way down to my left is Greg Fulchetti. He's the Carmel Town Attorney. So, once again, it's a Town Board voting meeting, and we're going to start off with accepting the Town Board minutes of June 27th, 2018. I need a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Councilwoman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, next resolution, it's resolution number 1, is a resolution establishing a standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials. Councilman Schneider, would you read one, please?
Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby establishes the following as standard workdays for elected and appointed officials, and will report the officials to the New York State local employee retirement system based on the timekeeping system records or their record of activities maintained and submitted by these officials to Town Clerk Ann Spofford as submitted on the attached standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials, Form 2417-A and 2417-B from the New York State local retirement system. I offer the resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes. Yes, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, next resolution. The mics are doing this again. Go in and out. Yeah. All right, next resolution, number 2, is a resolution authorizing budget modifications. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 2, please?
Sure. Whereas the Town Comptroller, Mary Ann Maxwell, has reviewed the proposed final budget modifications for the period ending June 30th, 2018, with the Town Board, which are detailed and explained on the attached budget revision schedule 2018/03. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes and ratifies the final budget modifications revisions for the period ending June 30th, 2018, as shown itemized on Schedule 2018/03, which is attached hereto, incorporated herein, and made a part hereof. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, offered by Councilwoman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 3, is a resolution accepting the annual financial report of the town's independent auditor for fiscal year 2017. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read number 3, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby accepts the comprehensive financial independent audit report of the town's independent auditor, the PKF O'Connor Davies firm, for fiscal year 2017, and hereby directs Town Clerk Ann Spofford to publish all notices required in connection herewith in the official newspapers of the town. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, offered by Councilman Lupinacci, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 4, is a resolution authorizing for payment of 2016 and 17 claims from fiscal year 2018 operating funds. Councilman Borelli, would you read 4, please?
Whereas the Town Controller's Office has received late voucher claims for expenditures incurred in fiscal year 2016 and 2017, which are not encumbered. And whereas the Town Board must authorize and approve the payment of fiscal 2016 and 17 claims from funds budgeted for fiscal year 2018. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the payment from the 2018 year operating funds for 2016 and 2017 claims itemized below, which are incorporated herein and made a part thereof. The vendor, New York Tactical Office Association, $1,199.96 from February 2016, and the description is it's 2016 police training. Also, the New York Tactical Office Association for $599.98 from March 2017, and again, police training for 2017. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Okay, offered by Councilman Borelli, seconded by Councilman Lupinacci. Roll call vote?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 5, is an amended resolution setting rates for the 2018 part-time temporary help. Councilman Schneider, would you read 5, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby sets the following rates for part-time temporary help in the following departments for fiscal year 2008: accounting, assessor, police, town clerk, engineer, recreation, planning, and highway will have a minimum of $13 an hour, maximum of $22 an hour, all commensurate with experience. Recycling will have a minimum of $12 an hour, maximum of $15 an hour, commensurate with experience. I offer the resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, offered by Councilman Schneider, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. Okay, next resolution, number 6, is a resolution authorizing payment for construction debris removal. Councilwoman McDonough, would you read 6, please?
Yes. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes payment to Mike's Blue Wheels, Mahopac, New York, for services rendered in connection with construction debris removal for the premises at 628 Route 6, Mahopac, New York, in the amount of $15,011.36, and in accordance with the invoice dated July 5, 2018. And be further resolved, the Town Comptroller, Mary Ann Maxwell, is hereby authorized to make any necessary budget modifications required in connection with the payment authorized hereunder. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Discussion on it?
Is there a second, John?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
if you want to have a discussion,
Yeah.
second for discussion purposes.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to write all this down. It has nothing to do with the subject matter. Well, it doesn't have to do with the payment. It has to do with personal statement I like to make. I wasn't here last week, which everybody knows. I was away on vacation. And actually, on vacation, we discussed this quite a bit. And I expected what happened last week to happen. We actually joked about it in California and Oregon with a couple of high school friends that we travel with. They said, why? I said, because I'm not there. And they'll find something wrong with it. Now, expecting that, I'm only saying this for one reason. I already, before I left, personally prepaid the bill with a check that was dated Thursday, so that the vendor would not have to wait for his money. He'll reimburse me next week. The reason why I'm saying this publicly is so that when a volunteer that laid out money for the town of Carmel, besides doing work and donating his time and energy and his personal money, I paid it so he wouldn't be hurt, because the action last week only would have hurt him. And I'm saying it because I have a lot of other plans where I'm asking for volunteers. And I got about a dozen calls last week and this week saying, told you they weren't going to pay when you weren't there. And the reason why I left the check in prepaid was I don't want to discourage any other future volunteers from coming forward. I'll guarantee their payment if I ask them to do something for the town of Carmel. With that being said, this town board says they were being careful. They never saw something like that. It was weird. It was out of the ordinary. But as we all know, we've witnessed many things this town board has done over the last 6 years, and that's being polite, many shenanigans. I mean, I could list a dozen of them. I'm not going to take up the time because we're going to have a quick meeting tonight. So I'm going to skip the multiple list that I have. And I just want to state the facts, make sure everybody understands it, and they're perfectly clear. Nobody on this board disputed the bill. Nobody in this building disputed the bill. Not the town board, the engineering department, the supervisor, who I would have hoped would have been a little stronger last week, and the town controller. No question it was valid. And with that being said, over $100,000 of taxpayers' money was saved by these volunteers. And for the public record, the $15,000 that this gentleman is waiting for, that he got from me, that he didn't get from the town yet, he had to lay that out because the supervisor told me to direct him to bill all the construction debris directly to the town of Carmel so he wouldn't have to lay out any money. And when he went to Bria, City Carding, and told him that, City Carding said, no, we're not doing that. You have to pay. We have a 2-week payment policy, and we're not going to wait for the town of Carmel. And after watching what happened last week, can you blame him? But I just think what happened last week was pretty disgraceful. That's all I have to say.
Well, since we're having discussion purposes for this, I think it was disgraceful too. I also think it was disgraceful, and if you saw my emails, I asked the comptroller why it was not recommended that a second resolution be made because it was over the RFP dollar amount. And if it was brought to our attention,
By
Mike,
300?
Mike, you wrote a letter to the state comptroller, and they're going to come and audit us.
For good news. Good news. May I interrupt you for a second?
But if it's by $300, the policy is the policy.
Right.
But here's the thing, and I told you this on the phone, and I told you this in an email. If Rob and Mary Ann came and said, we need a second resolution to waive the RFP,
Whatever you guys say.
we would have done it.
No problem.
We would have done it.
Oh, yeah.
But you had the comptroller, you had Kenny, you had other people here basically saying,
believe all yous.
we've never seen a signature like this.
It's up to the
But-
public.
but-
It's up to the public to see who they believe.
Okay.
It's not between me and you.
That's fine.
But
But
Bob,
Mike, it's paid.
Actually,
it's
John
paid-
brought something up.
It's paid last week, and it's paid this week. So, and again, it's paid this week because now it's under the threshold. But if Mike, if the comptroller and the engineering
did
purchasing
this man lay out
agent did it.
$15,000 for us? Did he lay out
Tell that to
$15,000 for
Tell
us?
that to the comptroller that.
Well, I'm
they're
going
gonna-
to
that
next
they're-
week
that-
when I
that
meet
they're-
with her.
That they're gonna say, you gotta follow the procedures of that. And all you had to do was make the resolution, instead of signing a claim form
Okay.
that says, subject to resolution, that nobody, even the supervisor,
Has
even the
never seen that
comptroller,
before?
did not see, they stated it on record. Ann Pasquarella's been
I
here
know,
for 17
but they were
years.
mistaken because I could produce about a dozen of them.
Well, I can't speak for them, because that's the first time I ever saw it.
Interesting.
And it's the first time, and
It's not a problem.
I
Go ahead.
spoke to the council. Usually, that's
No problem.
done with a wording of the resolution that we're going to waive the RFP.
I read your email.
If that came through, it was done. But that shocked me, because you saw my emails. If the comptroller was comfortable,
I
if
have a
the
tendency to
engineering
shock people.
was comfortable, I was comfortable, until all of a sudden, I'm like, why is this form signed this way?
Let me ask a question. Was he owed the money? Did everybody know he was owed the money? Everybody knows that he laid out the money for the town of Carmel because our credit wasn't good enough with Bria Construction.
Mike,
No, our
you-
credit's
what-
good enough. The policy is that you get paid in 2 weeks.
Right. What
This is municipality.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
what-
like it either, but this is how municipalities work. You don't pay the next day.
Bottom line, everybody knew the
what
man
I-
laid out the money.
Right, what I'd like everybody out there to know, whoever's going to volunteer for the town of Carmel, whoever is going to do work for the town of Carmel, no matter what any of us say up here privately, out there in the open, okay, one-on-one, there is a procedure that needs to be followed.
And you
do
followed
not
that
do-
very
you
well over
do
the
not-
last 6 years.
You do not do work and then get paid a few days later. I'm just going to say, Mike, I've got to be honest with you, you're right. The bill, he did the work, he deserves the money. You said you guys joked about it in California. I joked about it here because what we were handed, and I came in on Monday, we were handed a bill that said the item, Bria Dumping, $20,358.36. The amount, $20,358.36. Then we were handed a buttload of invoices that have nothing on them, okay? No rate, no tax. What it has is the quantity of the C&D and one transportation. So doing due diligence, spending the taxpayers' money with anything, I don't care what vendor it is. I've always done this, and everybody can check my record, okay? We called, Kenny and I, we called and we said, listen, can you guys explain to us what the 20,000 relates to? Okay? And in all actuality, it was broken down. Some of it was to city carding, some of it was for Ferrari or Cricket Construction, some of it was for transportation, and some of it was for Mike's Blue Wheels. Once we got that the correct way, no one had any problem with it.
That was left.
So again, if anybody ever got an invoice that is not, that has zeros, okay? I have no idea what a ton is. I've never seen invoices that I don't want to say I've never seen invoices. Whenever we see, or whenever, I'm just going to talk about myself, something that is not in detail, you have to ask for it.
Really?
Okay?
Is that's the
And
the procedure for the last 6 years?
And the comptroller also pushed for that.
questioned that.
That's
Okay?
been the procedure
We
for the last 6 years?
questioned-
No, with that.
We questioned the amount. I, for one,
How
as
much
your
did you question?
I, for one, as your councilwoman, all right, when I see invoices that doesn't have anything, I'm not saying nothing is bad. I'm just doing my due diligence for your tax
You're
dollars.
doing your due diligence?
You bet your butt I am, Mike.
Okay, because I
You
got some
bet your
things I
butt
want to ask
am.
about your due diligence on.
Okay? Hey, Mike, let me tell you something. First of all, everybody's human and everybody makes mistakes. The procedure is, and you should know this, you've been on the board since January, okay?
I've learned a
The
lot.
procedure is, you do the work, you get the invoice, goes on a work session. After the work session goes on the voting session, then they get paid. Okay, there are some instances probably that this doesn't happen. There was question about it. I agree with John that if there was better communication, that it possibly could have been pushed more.
Oh, it would have been. It's not
It would
possible.
have been,
It would have
because
been.
none of us, we love the work that's gone down there. None of us disputed that. And Mike, it is Mike from Blue Wheels, that's his
Yeah,
name?
Mike.
Mike, I personally want to thank you, and the Ferraris.
Don't thank me.
And for Mike.
Don't thank the
No, no, no,
Ferraris.
I-
Don't thank anybody.
I-
Pay the bill.
No, Mike, I am going to thank them. Don't tell me who I can't thank. I am going to thank them. So Mike from Blue Wheels, the Ferraris, Mike, over the councilman over here, I want to also thank you for getting this done. And whoever else was involved in the Swan Cove. So, guys, I'm sorry that it took an extra 7 days to pay. I apologize. But I'm going to do, if I have questions, just like anything.
Tommy Boniello, too.
Oh, and Tommy Boniello. Thank you, Tommy. So last week, we paid the 5,000, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And like John said, there was ways to do it. We, in all honesty, if it went over the 20,000, we should have went out for RFPs, okay? We didn't know it was
We'll
going to
waive
go
it.
over there.
We have waived them, and we can
Yes.
waive them, but that
Yes.
has to be done by resolution.
Right.
But again, if no one is communicating, the purchasing agent of the
Yes.
town is not communicating that to us, the comptroller's not communicating that to us. Sorry, Kenny, but as a chief financial officer, you're not communicating that to me.
Right.
And I said in my email, I'm one of five, my bad that I don't remember all of the purchasing procurements. I'll say that.
Right.
But I don't. But that's why we have the professionals, and that's why my history, 6 years on the board, if the professionals have reviewed it, blessed it, and are okay with it, then I'm okay with it, because they've done their due diligence, and I've done my due diligence. And that's how it goes. I think we're actually belaboring this over and over again. I think
Yeah.
we should have just paid it, and we didn't have to make comments,
I
but
just
Right.
wanted to make a statement.
and
I
that's
think-
fine.
And we learned,
I think a
hopefully
big
to
part
better
as well-
communicate.
Yeah, guys, in fairness, I didn't know it was going to go over the threshold of the 20,000 until the invoice was submitted.
No, I think
wouldn't
a
have
big
known
reason-
that. Is that, so, in fairness, there's no way I could have communicated that to anyone, and we couldn't have followed that part of the
No, but when
procurement policy.
when the invoice came in and it was over 20, the purchasing agent should have
Yeah.
said, hey, it's over 20, here's the policy. He said it after the fact, after I said, why did you sign the claim this way? And then he said, because it's over 20. Okay, instead of signing a claim that even the council said he doesn't ever remember seeing a claim signed that way,
Which
But-
we
but-
saw at
but-
6:30
But
that
if a
evening.
memo came out and actually said, hey, guys, this is over the 20, you need a resolution to waive the RFP for the wonderful work that's being done at a discounted price, we would have said, done, let's fill out the, about the, because we
Yep.
have done that in the past.
Yes,
But if there's no
absolutely right.
communication.
You've
I
waived a
don't-
lot,
I
you
don't
waived,
know it through
my
osmosis.
statement basically says, I have seen this board in the last 6 years waive things and
Yep.
give things out far greater than this man's 15,000.
And Mike,
Hands
we
down.
would
I
have if
agree
we
with
known
you.
about it before
That's it,
6:30
end of
that
discussion.
night. We
On my
can't
part.
waive
I
something
haven't had a
before
comment yet, so I
6:30.
would love to.
Go ahead.
There are two things that were
I'm
brought up
quite
that
sure
I
you
think we
do.
just, Mike, you had your time, I'm just going to ask that I have my time. There are two things that were brought up that I think will prevent this from ever happening again, because why would we want to deter anyone who's going to volunteer any time to give us a service at the town? Two things that we did not have, a work session or a memo. If we had a work session or a memo, or both of them, ideally, we wouldn't be having this discussion. Procedure should be followed. It's been followed that way for 6 years, where we either get a memo or we have a work session. Let's move on, and let's continue to keep things going good for the town. This was a great project. We should be celebrating the beginning of a rebirth downtown.
Yeah, it's going to be beautiful. Yeah.
So if discussions are over, I have a motion to, or there was a motion and I seconded that motion.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Councilman Borelli?
Yeah, I have to get my money back.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes, to get him his money back.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, write him his check tonight. We can't, though.
Excuse me?
I'd like to write you your check tonight.
No.
You gotta pay the vendor,
Gotta
then
pay
the
the vendor.
vendor
I know,
Gotta pay the
I know,
vendor.
I know. I'm just trying to interject a little levity, I guess. Okay. Next, resolution number 7 is a resolution authorizing submission of a consolidated funding grant applications. Councilman Lupinacci, would you read 7?
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the submission of the following consolidated funding grants. New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Water Quality Improvement Program for Carmel Sewer District Number 5 Wastewater Treatment Plant Compliance Update, $1 million. New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Water Quality Improvement Program for Carmel Sewer District Number 2 Infiltration Inflow Study Compliance Upgrade, $500,000. New York State Department of State Water Quality Improvement Program for Local Waterfront Revitalization Program at 628 Route 6, Mahopac, New York, upgrade, $100,000. New York-
Swan Cove, yeah.
That is Swan Cove, yes.
Swan Cove.
And these are grants that we are applying for. New York State Office of Parks, Historic Preservation, Acquisition, reimbursement grant for 628 Route 6, Mahopac, New York, again, Swan Cove, for $500,000. Other towns have done that to revitalize their waterfront. Be it further resolved that the town supervisor, Kenneth Schmidt, is hereby designated as the authorized town official for the purposes of the execution and submission of all documentation required in connection with the reference grant applications. I offer this resolution as read.
Second?
Okay, seconded by Councilwoman McDonough. Roll call vote?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
Yes.
Councilman Lupinacci?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, motion carried. And if you're familiar with the consolidated funding application, these will be submitted as part of that. There's actually 4 separate grants, but one of them is for the CFA. So we needed to have this approved by the board in order to submit it as a grant application for these projects. Okay, so that concludes the agenda items for this evening's Town Board voting meeting. Would anybody like to come up and question or comment on any of the agenda items we covered this evening? Come on up at this time.
Today's date.
Okay, there being none, we're going to open up the floor to general public comment on the open forum, new business portion of the meeting. Would anybody like to come up and comment on new business? Mike, I think you might be the only one. Guys? No? Okay, so there's no new business comment this evening.
Yeah, I have something, Ken.
You have something, Mike? Go ahead.
Yeah. Good news for the taxpayers. Coincidentally, we were notified last Wednesday, or a day before last Wednesday's meeting, that my letter to the State Controller's Office got action, and the state controller is coming down to do an evaluation of internal controls in the town of Carmel, and they will cover the last completed fiscal year and up to the start of their audit. So I think that's great news for the taxpayers. And I have one other thing. Am I allowed to do two?
Yeah, sure.
You can do as many as you want, you're a
I'd
council.
like to offer a motion to end the consulting contract for the consulting engineer of the town of Carmel.
What was the motion?
Motion was to kill the contract, exercise the 30-day option.
Rescission of the contract? The 30-day
Yes.
option? Okay, you made a motion,
Yes.
Mike? Okay, I second that motion. Okay, it's been a motion made and seconded. Dan,
Got it?
do you have what the title is?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Roll call vote?
Councilman Borelli?
Yes.
Councilman Schneider?
No.
Councilman Lupinacci?
No.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Absolutely not.
And Supervisor Schmidt.
Yes. So the motion was defeated, 3 noes and to 2 yeses.
I'd like to-
I have one more. Actually, I have two more, and a statement. I don't know if we could do this, I have to ask council, but motion to
Yeah.
You should make-
reopen
Yeah.
the contract, to ask the consulting engineer to take out his exclusivity clause, which allows him to do all the work for the town of Carmel without competitive bidding. I'll make that motion.
Okay. Mike, before we go ahead with that motion, was there any comment, board member comment on the first motion? What, did you have comment on the first motion?
No, I was going to make a motion, but I'll wait till Councilman Borelli's done.
Okay. Mike, I apologize. Could you read that back, Ann, the motion?
Sure. And I was going to ask for clarification myself. Motion to reopen the contract to ask the consulting engineer to, and then I was going to ask Mike to
Okay,
repeat
Mike,
that.
could you, the second part of your motion, or could you just repeat your motion one more time?
I'd like to make a motion to reopen contract, to ask the consulting engineer if he's be willing to reopen his contract, so that we may ask him to take out the exclusivity clause in his contract that prevents open bidding for the taxpayers.
Okay, do you have all that in?
Motion for discussion?
Second
You need a
motion
second,
for-
you need a
sec-
second.
Second for motion
You need a
for
second
discussion.
for discussion. You're seconding it?
I'll second the motion for discussion.
Okay.
So we have a motion now. Did we need a second on that?
For discussion, I think you do. right?
For any action. If you can second it for purposes of discussion, you can second it and take a vote. But
All right, so,
it has a second now.
So Councilman Borelli made the motion.
I think
Right.
And now
Councilman
who's
Nazzi
second?
Councilman Lupinacci seconded it for discussion.
Okay,
No,
thank
no,
you.
Councilman Schneider made a motion to discuss, and I second the motion to discuss.
So she's
So we're back
asking-
on the first
So we're back to the first,
motion.
we got to go
That's
back
what
to the
I'm
first
asking.
motion. We got to go back to the first motion. So motion made by Councilman Borelli. I'll second Councilman Borelli's motion.
Thank you. And all,
Now
So-
it's open
Now-
for discussion.
Now it's
No, I
open for
think we-
discussion.
Yeah.
Move to discuss.
Move to discuss.
You can discuss it while it's pending.
Go ahead. You can discuss it now, correct, Ann? Or do you have to
Yeah.
do a roll call vote first?
well, no, we're just, it's only for discussion, and we're discussing Councilman Borelli's motion.
So, John, you don't have to make another motion for discussion. You can discuss it now.
Okay. The previous motion that was just made, it might be a half dozen times that motion's been made now, repeatedly, and it's been voted down 3-2 repeatedly. This second motion that's come up is exactly why you were asked to come into an executive session prior to finalizing this contract, was if there were concerns about the existing contract that you had viewed, this would have been the perfect time to talk about it. From the time that you walked out of that executive session to the final contract that we have, we had already negotiated that number down. It's not a carte blanche. Any contract that the town does is awarded without any type of RFP. We have thresholds. We negotiated down the thresholds. We had talked about that exact idea, and that's why we were looking for your input previous to you taking seat. To be bringing it up 6 months later after 6 times of being shot down on trying to end the contract. I'm not sure if anything's going to change because you haven't given any reasoning behind canceling the contract.
I
And that
gave-
would be another thing I'd love to discuss, because if there was communication back and forth regarding any aspects of the contract that aren't being lived up to, then I would be more able to entertain that discussion and probably think twice about everything that we're doing. But right now, it's almost becoming regressive what we're doing here. And with so many projects on the horizon, especially in regards to our asset inventory, our capital plan, our master plan, infrastructure repairs and replacements and expansions, I think we really need to start concentrating on positives and what we can do in the town, as opposed to continuously trying to break down one contract.
Or not utilize that contract or that resource, which has been utilized in this town for 12 years and is very good. As Councilman Borelli stated on TV, one of the best engineers in the tri-state area.
Okay. Just asking to ask them. That's all.
So is there,
Yeah,
do
there
we
was
talk
a-
about it now or in executive session? Because it's contract, is specific
So
reasons.
there's a motion to
Motion is second.
open up the
Discuss it or-
contract.
And/or vote it, and then go from there.
Discussion, if
could discuss
Jonathan's
it
over,
now
we're
if you'd like to.
over.
I mean, I think Jonathan asked a question, like, what are some specifics that this person is, or this vendor is not doing for it to keep on
Well,
coming up?
I think there's some specific.
That's not what the motions that Mr. Borelli put forth. He said to go out and solicit from the contract, from the vendor, if we could open up contract talks to remove the exclusivity. It has nothing to do with any of the attributes of the contract, unless that's his third motion that he's gonna go after. But the motion that's on the table right now is, can we go out to that vendor and solicit changing the contract to remove the exclusivity? That's
Right,
it.
no, I understand that, but what Jonathan asked is how can we vote on something if we don't know the reasoning behind it?
You're voting on something to ask them and bring them in. That's what you're voting on. It's a very simple vote. You want to bring that man in to an executive session and ask him if he'll change his contract and renegotiate it. It's very simple.
But we've, you know what, then bring all the vendors in and ask everybody to change their contracts. Don't just single out one person. Like Councilman Schneider said, every single one of us at this table or this dais had plenty opportunity to weigh in on
Excuse me?
all contracts.
Excuse me? I didn't hear
Did you,
that.
Mike? Oh, you had, every single person on this dais had ample opportunity, like Mr.
I wasn't a
Councilman
board
Schneider
member
said.
then.
You were asked.
I
Okay,
was in there, and
okay.
I gave you my opinion.
Well-
I gave you my opinion, very strongly. And
Okay.
publicly, extremely strongly, I begged everybody not to do it, and you signed it after the supervisor, for the first time in the history of this town, did not sign a contract.
You're right, and I would
So I'm
sign it
asking
again.
to bring the man in and sit in front of us and ask him to renegotiate his contract. It's very simple.
Bring everybody in.
You
Let's
won't kill the
renegotiate
contract, so let's
everybody.
ask if he'll renegotiate it. And if he won't, that's okay. So it was a very simple question. Taxpayers are on the hook for big money.
Yep, in all of the contracts, they are.
Look, let's skip that. I'll remove that motion, okay? I thought it was a very nice one, actually. I was trying to bend a little bit. I shouldn't do that. I don't understand why, he's not an employee of the town, but his name is under the engineering department. And his name is also under the employees of the town on the main billboard. And he's not on the town charter, so I like that answer for me next week. And
It says consultant though underneath his name.
I know what it says.
But
But why
Mike,
isn't,
if it
why
says
isn't the town
consultant, that's
planner?
that's not
The
a,
town planner's a consultant, he's been a consultant for 20 years. Why isn't his name on there?
that's a good point.
Interesting point.
I gotta go look to you, you're the day-to-day manager, how come
On
the planner's
billboard?
not there?
You mean on the building
Now, here's what,
office
Directory.
board? Oh, the directory? I don't know why.
So
Here's
we-
what
we-
makes
we
me
could
ask
add-
this.
We could add Pat Cleary, or we could
Yeah,
take,
Pat Cleary.
or we could take John off. If he's a consultant, take him off, because he's not an employee, he's a consultant. So you're right, if there's another consultant, it should be fair.
I might be on there too.
Then answer, please.
No, I said I might be as counsel.
Oh, are
Yeah,
you
I
are
think
you on there
I
also?
think you are.
So
you are as counsel.
All right, so then if two consultants or of counsels on it, then we should add Pat Cleary. It's a
yeah.
valid point, because if someone wants to talk to the controller, they don't, I mean, the planner, they don't know who the planner is, so it's a valid point.
And I'll tell you why I harp on this contract. We've paid this man $70,000 to date, $10,000 a month on a consulting contract. Besides the exclusivity contract, which has so far has netted him in excess of $200,000 this year alone. There are no set meetings. There are no set reports. He's in the building 5 to 20 minutes, maybe every 2 to 3 months. But don't forget, he has work in the building from his contracts. Consulting and the contracts are two separate things. Now, what I want as a city,
Do you know if he has any projects in this town?
he has 2 projects going on right now in this town,
For the town?
for the town, which,
But you just alluded to that he could be in this building to work on other
no,
projects.
to work on these projects for the
Got it.
town.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Okay,
for the
I
clarification.
would never say that.
No, I got you now.
So what I'm asking for as a council person, and I'm asking for the taxpayers also, I want a written report stating what the town got in the last 6 months for that $70,000. And I'd like to see it within a couple of weeks. I'm in this building 10 times a week, and I've seen him once pass through the parking lot. But I want to see a report stating for the consulting services, what we've received for the money. And I'd like to see it in writing. All our departments, several of our departments, we need more help. Morale in all departments, including police, including highway, is dismal, to be polite. There are 1 or 2 key employees we might lose because raises are due. And I believe with giving away this money. And as a last word, my sources, which are very good, tell me the finishing of the roads and curbs in Carmel Water District 2 are horrendous. And I can believe that because it's the same person that did the curbs and roads at my other daughter's house, and one of my daughter's houses in White Plains, and I still drive those roads. And we're paying $70,000 to this consultant
10 a month.
for construction inspection. And I want to make sure that we take no roads back or give any money back. We hold money on both parties, the contractor and the consultant, until the roads are perfect, because we have no bonds here. It's all I have to say tonight.
I agree with you with the names of the consultants on it. I just, if it's still for discussion, Kenny, I know the last time Mike brought this up, I asked you, what's going on, because things that I've seen, the consultant has come in under budget, and to me, his work is great. And
Well, I
said
know,
if
but when
there-
you- when
wait,
you
Mike,
over-
wait, Mike,
when you
hold on.
over-budget something
Mike,
by-
Mike, no, I didn't interrupt you.
I apologize.
Okay. So, and I asked Kenny, and I said, Kenny, if you have a problem with him not being here, have you talked to him about it? Have you picked up the phone and asked him to come down and say, hey, John, we'd like you having it? And your answer was no. So have you done that yet? See, what I don't like,
It's not my job, Susie, to monitor
No.
the consulting engineer's hours. It is not. He doesn't work for the town. He works for you. He works for the town board. If you'd like to ask John where he is, how come he's
I don't-
absent from here,
I-
then
I
pick up
don't
the phone
think-
and you
I
call
gotta be
him.
honest with you, I don't think he's absent.
Yeah.
Every time I come in here, he's here.
He's not, Sue.
What-
He's
what
not.
I-
Sue,
Guys, can I-
Sue,
can I-
to
can
be
I just-
quite
I don't
honest
wanna-
with you,
what I-
he
what
is
I am
not. So let's
asking-
call it what it is. Let's be honest about it.
Guys, can I just
No,
clarify?
no, John,
can
I
can
need to
clarify one
finish
thing?
this.
I don't
No.
want-
It's
What-
not in his, it's not in his contract to have meetings. it's not in his contract to
But it
have
is, it is in his
meetings.
contract to provide basic services.
Yes, it is.
Which he's not doing,
But
period.
here's the thing. Here's the
Okay,
thing. Here's the
have
thing,
we
though.
asked him what
There is a day-to-day manager, and Kenny, you are the day-to-day manager, just like Councilman
I'm
Borelli's
not going to
bringing
look
it.
under John's
And-
skirt.
and-
I'm not
and-
going to follow him
and
around.
We have a
and check- check-
comptroller that has a fiduciary responsibility, and we have a town engineer that has a responsibility. So if there's 3 full-time employees that should be monitoring, so I'm actually going to agree with Councilman Borelli.
Right.
And I don't mind the idea of the report.
Of
and I
getting the
gotta-
reports. I think
and
it's a
I'm in
great
agreement
idea.
with you. But I will say, though, I would like to have certain reports come out of the comptroller's office, and I want certain reports come out of the engineering office, not just from the consultant, but also from the project engineer. Because the project engineer over the last 2 weeks has caused a lot of confusion, and you know this, Kenny, to be true, but we don't have to get involved right
Which
now.
project engineer? Which
We
one?
only have one project.
Who is it?
Project coordinator?
the project
Yeah,
coordinator.
Engineer Projects Coordinator, got
Yes.
it, okay, got it.
So you were confused on a request from a resident about an easement. And again, if a memo came out, if documentation came out, we were confused on this billing. So I agree with Councilman Borelli, but again, I'm not going to just say of one person. I want it of, and again, that's how you manage a company and how we should manage a company.
We are the board of managers.
But you are the day-to-day.
We-
But you are the day-to-day.
Do you know what's on my day-to-day plate every day, John? Do you have any clue?
I do not.
I spent 3.5 hours today at a shared services meeting up in Carmel. I wasn't here. It was torture. It was torture. But I went because I'm the day-to-day manager, okay? But I can't possibly, if there's something that you guys would like done, you're also day-to-day managers. You're part-time, but you're full-time officers of the town.
I guess-
So if there's something bothering you, or if you have a concern about a particular individual, in this case, the engineer coordinator,
No,
then bring it up with him.
I don't have it. I just want more communication from all departments, all departments. And I said, I first started with comptroller, and then I went to the engineer. Listen, we've asked for reports from Jimmy Gilchrist, and we've gotten other reports from Jimmy. So this is not the first time, and again, I'm agreeing with Councilman Borelli. We should get reports, but I just don't want from one. But I will agree, from this vendor, we should. And we should have our full-time employees that have a responsibility to oversee vendors, to also oversee them. That's all I'm saying. So I'm not in disagreement with him. I'm actually saying it and a little bit more to manage the town.
Wait,
That's all.
I think maybe our
agree.
assessment might be a little off. We might be a little off the mark, and we might be drifting away from the initial discussion.
No,
All right,
well-
it went from the consulting engineer to the engineer projects coordinator. So we
Okay.
kind of drifted off of
So-
that. But
so-
what I'd like to see is a monthly report, and that's not a lot to ask.
I think what we should do
monthly
is get a
activity
monthly
report.
report from a bunch of people, without a doubt. I think we should do that. I think where I have the problem is that instead of coming out here publicly and almost, I don't want to say bashing, but I'm gonna lightly say, in quotations, bashing a department or a person or a role. Instead of doing that, I'm under the firm believer, I think it would have been nice if somebody asked for that information first, say, hey, listen, you know what, we're giving you all this money, we'd like to see reports. And then if they didn't do it, or if the reports were crappy or whatever, then come out and say, hey, listen, guys, I've asked for these, I'm not getting them. I guess it's just the respectfulness of me that I would have asked prior.
Or
you know,
ask,
and-
or ask the engineering
or
department.
ask the engineering
to say,
department.
you know, what services are you getting? Because I
Right,
think
yeah.
the
But I
engineering
agree
department's getting
100%.
something.
We should, and I think that's what we need, we should sit down and say, okay, what reports do we want from each department on a monthly basis that we can review? So we have, you know, all of us now, you
Benchmark.
know, if we can help with the day-to-day operations, we'll help with the day-to-day operations if we get the information. A lot of the time, we do not get the information, and we can't do something. So I'm willing to step up and, you know, step on toes or whatever it may be.
All right, so you'll
know?
make a phone call to the consulting engineer tomorrow?
I can do that,
Have
yes.
a conversation with him? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
but
All right.
I'd like more information of exactly what we all want. I think instead of just shooting at the hip, let's be educated about it and say, okay, what do we want from him? What do we want from her? What do we want from the
I
engineering?
think it's
What do we
clear. I
want
think we
from
made that clear
controllers?
tonight. We didn't
You
shoot from the
know?
hip. I think what we're asking for, what Councilman Borelli's asking for,
Well, I will
is a report on his or her, it doesn't matter, and it shouldn't be limited to just the consulting engineer.
Right.
It
Can I
should be
just-
spread across the board.
Right, that's fine. I'll send out an email to all of us first, and you guys make sure that that's exactly what we want, and then I'll forward it to the respected people.
Okay.
Can I just
Good.
respond?
Yes.
I'm sorry I cut off Ms. McDonough before.
Yep,
But
no
if I could
problem.
just respond on 3 points that she made. I don't think the taxpayers want us to be nice. I think they want them to save us, I think they want us to save them money.
Oh,
And they don't care
definitely.
how nasty or not nice we have to be to do that. That's the first thing. Second thing is, it's publicly known, because we've said it here over and over, when I was on the other side of that podium, that you overprice all your projects because you want to make sure if it goes over, you have enough money in there. And that was the quote. I'll pull out 10 statements like that. So please stop using this statement that he always comes in under budget. If a $200,000 job that's truly 175 is bid out at 250 and it comes in at 200, it's not 50 under budget, it's 25 over budget.
Yeah,
And the
that's
last
across the
statement,
board. I
didn't-
understand
I'm sorry, I
that.
apologize to you, I didn't finish, I had one more
No.
thing to say to you. You say that we don't get any information from our departments. Anytime I go in once a couple weeks, every couple of weeks, every department head I've spoken to has given me everything I've asked for, anytime I've asked for it. I came back from vacation, Monday morning I went in, I saw the engineering department, they told me what they wanted. I went to the building department, I went to the court, went to the chief of police, and I actually called Mr. DiCarlo, our new school superintendent, and Kenny, I told you I didn't have time, and we met today.
Yeah.
But I have no problem getting information from department heads. So it's there, you just have to ask for it.
And Mike, I will give you kudos sincerely.
I understand that you work, yes, I have an advantage, yes.
And I'm saying this positively
I
to
know
the
that.
taxpayers.
I know you've said that before to me personally.
But I don't think every board member here, or even new board members that can come in 2 years, are going to have the
The ability.
ability.
Right,
Some will,
yeah.
if they're retired or if they're working in the town. So that is a positive to the taxpayers.
Yes.
But that's why I go from the corporate American side, where it says, okay, another way of communication then is through memo updates or memo emails. And at the same time, again, I'll say it on TV, I could also pick up the phone. So
I was going to say, there are telephones,
We-
and it
we
won't be
can all
2
get
years for
better
new
at
board
it.
members. It'll be less than 18 months, and it's only 15, 16
that's what-
months to the next election.
That's what I meant,
Yeah.
2-year
I
cycle.
agree. I can get better at it, all of us can. But I'll make sure I get that tomorrow,
What's that?
the email. I'll send it to you guys first to make sure that that's what we want. I have
Okay.
it here.
I've said it for a few years, I'd love to see universal quarterly updates from our department heads. It's a simple thing that can keep the board informed on the everyday minutiae that we're not informed of unless we get a memo that comes through or a resolution that comes through. But just quarterly updates from our department heads is one of the greatest things we could do as the managers of the town. So we're all in the know. As part-time employees or a full-time employee, we should all be able to at least be able to have the same information to digest, to make informed and intelligent decisions, because in the end, it's 5 people going on for a budget of $36,000. And we need to make sure that we're spending the dollars wisely, but we need to have the information to do that. So if in the next 18 months before I'm out of here, we can come up with some kind of standard format for all of our department heads on quarterly basis to give us some type of update, I think it would be beneficial, not only for us, but for everyone
Yeah.
going forward.
Yeah, no, I agree, completely agree, Jonathan. And the consultants should do the same. No question
And
about
that
it.
should be across the board. I remember this
everybody,
year,
right.
with one of
Yep.
our outside legal counsels,
Mm-hmm.
we specifically had it where we wanted to have increased communication. It's a simple fact that the more communication that we have, the better we're going to be able to
Oh,
work.
much better.
Especially the 5 of us are going to be able to work as a team. Tonight, you brought up that we're not getting certain services provided. When I spoke with our engineer, when I speak with the people who are involved in projects, I don't get that sense, but I want to hear from other sides. One of the things that I love is the fact that people just have no problem calling to talk about what their opinions are, because you get to hear different sides. And I think if there are things that aren't being lived up to in any contract on any one of our vendors or any one of our employees, if they're not living up to what they're supposed to be doing,
We need to know about it.
we have to.
We need to know about it. It can't,
No, but again, I'm gonna go back to Councilman Borelli, and this whole update, but it might even be more quarterly. I mean, we started the water meter project many years ago, we finally passed it, and I'm sorry, I don't wanna wait a quarterly update. I really would like monthly updates on, I'm in Water District 14, I haven't gotten a notice on, you know, when the new ones are coming in. So I would like from the engineering department, whoever's running it, because we have 3 people up there, and again, whoever's running it, I'd like an update. That's a very big project, just like, you know, the other water districts.
4 up there.
The 4,
With the
I'm sorry,
consulting
you're right,
engineer,
you're right,
4.
you're right, sorry, correction.
Actually, 4.5 now, because there's an intern in there now.
Okay, so, but, you know, this is a big project.
3.5. How many people do we have in the engineering department?
I'm including the consulting engineer, 4
doesn't work for
full-time.
us.
I know, but I just, as a,
That's the problem. Everybody counts it as an employee of the town.
Or as a worker of the town.
specify. So Kenny,
So-
we'll
Well,
do monthly, we'll
there's-
do quarterly.
yeah,
that's all.
I agree.
Yeah.
I just have one question, and I guess I could ask the engineering department, or I did ask the engineering department and the consulting engineer. Water District Number 9, there's a main replacement project that we approved in October of last year. How come that hasn't gone forward yet? What's the status
I
of
think
that?
I spoke to Rich or someone 2 weeks ago. It's supposed to go out this week.
Because
So
before
it's
the
supposed-
residents
do you know
start coming
any,
in.
with-
I actually sat on a phone call with Rich and with a representative who sits on the board up in the hills, and we were talking about the application that was going in, and I think that their expectation was that in the next approximately couple weeks from now, we're going to be seeing the resolution to go out and get everything started.
Okay.
But I think that when they had said it was all said and done,
It's this week.
okay, so it's this week that they're looking at going out now.
Correct.
Yes.
So this week would have to be Thursday or Friday.
How did you know that? Ann?
You want a
Specifications were
business?
provided by John Falchetti to my office.
When?
Ken?
I want to
See, here's a little bit of a problem I have.
Communication.
It's communication. I wouldn't have had to ask that question if I knew
I was about to say the same thing
Yep.
across the board. That's why I don't know if quarterly's going to do it, because I think it's got to be monthly.
want
On
me to
big
tell you?
projects, it's got to be sooner, like water meters got to be sooner, water nine's got to be
Are
sooner.
you talking about Water 9 that people have waited 9 years for?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to give you a businessman's opinion of why it's on the back burner.
Totally agree.
Because when you give somebody the exclusive right to do all the work and call all the shots with no input from the boss, he has his own pecking order of where the money is. And if a job comes in bigger than that, that's the job he'll do first. Instead of, when you hire someone to do a job first, they do it first, and you hire someone to do the second job. When you give the same job, 5 jobs to the same person, he's cashing in his most lucrative job first. Water 9 was not the most lucrative job. The people of Water 9, in my mind, are suffering because we have no outright bidding, and we give exclusive business to one person. That's my business sense.
And I don't mean to argue, I'll just add to that. And I've spoke to council, and I spoke to John Falchetti probably about 2 months ago, because I too have said, okay, where's the bid? Because of, and there is a process, and they just got approval. I thought you wrote an email 3 weeks
did.
ago, 4 weeks
I
ago,
did.
saying, where is it? And he just got approval from Putnam County Health Department to say, okay, we've reviewed everything, you now can proceed. So in municipality world, and again, I might be wrong, and I might be being snowed by the cloud of municipality world, but that's what was told to me. So
You are being snowed.
And if the municipality, then I am going to ask Greg, I understand the engineer enough, but if there's a municipality procedure from the Board of Health and so forth, can you please educate us so we understand what's going on?
There's no difference between a municipality and a private service in going to get permits. As a matter of fact, the municipality doesn't pay for permit fees. And if I could remind you, in the contract given to the consulting engineer on Water Number 9, he's paid $35,000 for permitting So he was paid $35,000 to access the permits, not for permits. He was paid $35,000 to get a permit. And the bottom line is this: 9 years later, Water 9 does not have their water. They have the same old water system.
Well, in all fairness, I'm not going to argue with that, but I'll just say in all fairness,
It's a fact.
then we should question him, and so he could explain, because right now, we're talking to the public as if it is fact, and we don't know, and he can't defend himself, or he can't explain, and if Greg wants
How
to
do you
recuse
explain
himself,
9 years?
hold on, John Fulchetti, our consultant engineer, is not the fault for 9 years of not having that.
No, it's our fault.
Okay, yeah, I just want to
I'll
make that clear.
take part of that because I'm here for 7 months.
And I'll take part of that, absolutely.
No question about it. It's our fault, not his fault.
Okay.
It's our fault because we don't have the ability to tell him to do what he has to do, because he has a contract that's worded where we can't say nothing.
No, that's not true, because
It's absolutely true,
Mike, you just made a motion to terminate his contract. So
because of that reason.
Because if we don't like what he's doing, or if there's a delay that we don't like, we can terminate. That's what John was saying. What basis do you want to terminate it on? But no,
What basis? You want me to read the contract?
I've read the contract.
Okay.
And it's a better contract than the last two that was signed
Right,
in this
because he was
time.
scared of me and lowered some prices.
I'd like to take a little bit of credit too, because every single contract we've had with him, I kept bringing him down.
I'll
I was
give
going
you,
to say that night.
that
we were-
particular one, no, that one,
Yeah,
again, I had nothing to do with it because I wasn't a board member.
Okay. All right. So,
Want to leave off?
I think the 4-H fair is coming up pretty soon, right? Should be a good time.
We have executive session.
no, we do have some announcements. All right. So, Sunset Concert Series, that is ongoing. There's one tomorrow evening at the Chamber Park, and that is Soulmates. Soulmates, music from the heart and soul at the Chamber Park tomorrow evening. The attendance at these concert series has been unbelievable, fantastic. The turnout has been
Really good.
really good. A lot of folks have been showing up for them. So tomorrow evening, Soulmates, doesn't say what time they start. Oh, 6:30, okay. It starts at,
No, that was Red Mills.
Okay,
These guys
we're-
start at 7.
okay, 7 p.m. Okay, so bring your lawn chairs, your blankets, and your families. Tomorrow evening, Sunset Concert Series at the Chamber Park in downtown Mahopac to listen to the music of Soulmates. There is a important meeting, the Lake Mahopac Water Quality Update presentation. This is the Mahopac Committee, the district committee is hosting this meeting, and the date is Tuesday, July 31st, 2018, from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Mahopac Public Library, third floor community room. So that's the Lake Mahopac Park District. It's an important meeting. Here's the flyer. And it says, the purpose is to provide an informational update on the topic of the blue-green algae and other potential water quality concerns being monitored on Lake Mahopac. The public is encouraged to attend and share observations, concerns, and ask questions of the Putnam County Health Department and the Lake Park District Advisory Board. So that's Tuesday, July 31st at the Mahopac Library, third floor community room. If you want to hear about the blue-green algae issue, that is just not limited to Lake Mahopac. It's also in quite a few other lakes throughout the county. Lake Cassie is one of them. The health department is monitoring these bodies of water, but blue-green algae has been present. So there is an effort by the DEC and others, the health departments, to try to combat this issue that we're having with the blue-green algae, but it's very difficult because it's difficult to predict when it's going to show up, when it's not going to show up. But when it shows up, it's very difficult to treat it. But I guess they're exploring different ways to do that. So, and I guess you can ask, if you're in the Lake Mahopac Park District, or even if you're not in the Lake Mahopac Park District and you have an interest in Lake Mahopac, show up to that meeting, because they're there to answer questions that you may have with respect to the lake, the health of the lake, and the quality of the water at the lake as well. Susie, you want to read this one?
Sure. Okay. It would be our honor to have you participate in the inaugural New York State Medal of Honor Parade, which is going to be held on Saturday, July 21st, which is this Saturday, at 1 p.m. in Carmel. Please recognize this year's Grand Marshals, which is Gary Beekridge, U.S. Army Rochester Medal of Honor recipient, Robert O'Malley, U.S. Marines Queen's Medal of Honor recipient, and Paul Bukcha, U.S. Army Washington, D.C. Medal of Honor recipient. It's going to be presented by the New York State Medal of Honor Parade Committee in cooperation with Putnam County Government and Purple Heart Homes. The parade steps off at 1 p.m. from the Paladin Center on Seminary Hill Road, makes a left onto Church Street, then a right onto Route 6, and continues onto Route 52 until Fair Street, then loops around to the county building. It'll really be nice if everyone can go out and really honor the Medal of Honor recipients.
I think they're going to recognize and honor all of the recipients, right? Medal of Honor
Yeah,
recipients?
they're
I think
gonna-
I heard that somewhere.
Yup.
But 3 are going to
I-
be there, right?
Three are going to
present.
be there. Yeah, there are 3 of the grand marshals, yup. And
what are their names, Sue?
there's, I can't, kill names, but it's Gary
Bikert.
Bikert,
Yep.
Robert O'Malley, and Paul Bucha.
Paul Buca? All right.
Yup.
Paul Buca was actually at the baseball game last night, the All-Star game that
Oh,
was played,
really?
that was played in Washington. It was the Washington
In
Nationals.
Washington DC.
Yeah, he was there
Yep.
last night. He was out on the field. Him and
Yeah.
28 other recipients, but he was one of them. He was there.
And
Yeah.
it'd be nice
Yeah.
at all ages, bring the young kids, show
Yeah.
them, respect for the men and women in our armed forces, and also for the Medal of Honors.
Yeah,
It's going
yeah.
to be
It's gonna be
really, really
really good.
great.
Do you know where's the ceremony going to take
I
place?
think
On the
it's going
steps
to
of
be
the
right
courthouse?
on the steps of the courthouse. I'm pretty sure. Annie, would you know? Steps of the courthouse.
starts
Yep.
at 1?
And they do have a banner in there. Yep, it
Starts at 1
starts
o'clock?
at 1. Yep.
Okay, so
from
we'll
the
get up there
Paladin
early.
Center. So if anybody's traveling up towards Carmel on that day, I
Yeah.
know that they have the signs out, beware that parade. I would think they're probably going to be closing off the roads 11:30.
yeah.
Maybe even earlier. So if you have to go up that way, make sure it's earlier. But, come up and show your
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
support.
Salute the troops,
Yeah.
thank them for their service and their appreciation.
Yeah,
And that's the least we can do.
I know.
So
It's
let's-
great.
let's
And
go.
it's going to be nice right there with all the flags,
Yeah,
too.
it's going to be
Pretty.
really good. All right, thanks, Sue.
You're welcome.
All right, just this real quick note, announcement on, this is regarding recycling. Our garbage collection contract, the AAA, has indicated that the facilities where they deposit recycling will no longer be accepting items that are bagged. So if you can please put your recyclables in the blue container outside of the bags, they'd appreciate that. In an effort to assist, we ask that you simply place your recyclables into the blue tote provided by the contractor without using any plastic bags. So you know there is no need to sort your materials, so you don't have to sort everything, plastics, metal, things like that. You don't have to sort it. Just throw it all in the blue tote. They may be they may be placed in the tote commingled. So, yes?
Make it easier for some people. They could use a lawn bag. They could use a paper bag. You can't use plastic bags. You're putting newspapers in there also.
Yeah. Oh,
So, for the people out there, you could use a paper bag. They still do make them, and they're recyclable lawn bags, you could use that too.
I don't think the vendor wants it tied, though. That's what I think.
Right, you gotta put them in loose.
You gotta put them in loose, which my daughter now loves that because it's her chore to do it. She just takes it and dumps it in, and she doesn't have to
does she do it?
tie it up. She does. She wants to use the car, she
wants to
does.
use the car. She's got a license now, huh? All right, just real quick, really, really quick, because I had a headache today after this meeting. Yeah, thanks, Sue. Shared services. I talked about this a few months ago, right? And I brought it up, the board was aware of this, and I actually gave them a survey to fill out of possible consolidation of services. This is coming down from the governor's office to the county, to the towns. So things roll down from the state level. All right, so all the supervisors in Putnam County and the village mayors, we're on a panel. We've been assigned to sit on a shared services committee panel to discuss possible sharing of services throughout Putnam County in an effort to save the taxpayers money. So we've been doing that. And today, we met with the LaBerge Group, who was retained by Putnam County to assist the panel in developing a plan. We have to have a plan voted on and approved by September 15th. So by September 15th, this plan that we've been working on has to be adopted, has to be approved by us. Not us, me, one of the panel members on the committee, I have to vote on it, all right? So, and then we have to send, and the legislature reviews it, and there's going to be public hearings prior to, and the public will be made aware where these public hearings are going to be. One is going to be on the west side of the county, over in Phillipstown. The other one's going to be in Patterson, and I think either the third one's going to be in Carmel or Kent. I'm not 100% sure yet, but it'll probably be in Carmel. So anyway, we discussed some of the things that, you know, could potentially be a shared service where you could recognize the tax savings to the taxpayers, because that's what it's about, to see if there's anything that can be done. And we talked about joint purchasing, sharing a highway and public works, plow up, plow down, they mentioned, paving coordination, a truck wash bay. Now, that's something that we
I
could
like
all
that,
use.
yeah.
A truck wash bay.
The school wash
Well,
bay.
Well, the
truck
buses would be involved too.
Truck
So
bus.
I'm in the process of collecting all the inventory from our highway department and from the school district. I contacted Anthony DiCarlo today and asked him if he could submit me a list of their inventory. So we have an idea how many vehicles might be using this wash bay. But this is something we're all 100%, 110% behind. It would save the life of the vehicles. It would extend their lives, because what's the biggest killer of highway vehicles and school buses is the rust, the oxidation from the salt and the sand. The winter months, it just collects on the frame rails and the body, and it eats it through. The drivetrain may be good, but it'll fail inspection due to the body and to the frame. So a truck wash bay would be a huge benefit to every town and village in Putnam County, and we'd all use
That
it.
should be number one.
So that should move up here.
Yeah, I think so.
Line striping, we talked about as a potential savings if we all bid, everybody has stripes and painting, you know, markings on their road. If we bid it all as one, there might be an economy scale savings if we all did it that way. It would save money. Functional consolidation of outflow, retention, catch basin, storm drain maintenance, and street sweeping, I mentioned that. Functional consolidation of wastewater treatment plants between Putnam County and the town of Carmel. That's very interesting. Functional consolidation of county sheriffs, public safety access point, PSAP. You're familiar with that, right, John? The PSAP program into the county. Shared dog control services, that was mentioned.
Don't we have, dog control?
Yeah, well, we have our own dog control people, but I'm not sure if that's something that's kind of on the bottom of the list, because everybody has their own dog control services. So, you know, there's a lot that we talked about, and moving forward, we're going to develop this plan. Just want to mention a couple other things. Coordination of safety training for OSHA compliance. I mentioned outflow retention catch basins, Office of Emergency Management, OEM, PSAP dispatch, functional consolidation of sheriff, I mentioned that. So these are the short-term projects, and there's some other projects that we talked about and what perhaps the savings might be. The assessor's function was part of this too. There are some towns that have agreed to at least, you know, discuss that and to research that, if there's any savings in it for those particular towns. And there are some towns, to be honest with you, that want no part of that. They don't even want to discuss that. So that was one thing that was brought up today. So this is going to be ongoing. The next meeting is August 1st that I have with them, and then we're going to set the public hearings. So the public hearings will be announced to the public, and then we'll move on to September, and at some time in September when a plan is developed. Now, here's the other interesting thing. You can opt out. You're not committed to it. In other words, if a town might be considered as participating in a particular shared service in this plan, they can opt out at any time they want to opt out. So just for developing the plan, for the purposes of developing it and seeing exactly what the numbers are, what the savings would be, Carmel may be considered in that research, crunching the numbers to see if there's any savings, but at any point, we can opt out. So we're not committed to it. In other words, even though we said, yeah, Carmel might be interested in looking at this as a savings, at any point that we desire, we choose, we could opt out of it. All right, so we're not committed to it, so
Is
just.
it an all or none kind of thing? Like we have to read everything in the plan in order
No,
to get the grants?
no, that's the other thing. You don't have to agree to everything that was outlined as potential cost savings. So Carmel might be interested in the truck wash bay. Yeah, let's look into that. We might be interested in purchasing. Let's look into purchasing.
Okay.
And those are two of the items that I agreed to consider as part of this. And by the way, Mike Simone, our highway superintendent, he was very much involved in this also. He met with all the highway superintendents from Putnam County. They've met 3 or 4 different times, and they've weighed in on this. So
That
this
wash
is,
bay he's talked about for 8 years since I.
what do you think his number one issue is? The wash bay.
Wash bay.
Yeah. So Carmel School District actually has it, that's up for a public referendum in October. So the Carmel School District would like to construct a wash bay, and they're going out to the public for a referendum for the cost of it. If that goes down, then the county, Putnam County, from what I'm told, then they'll go forward with exploring constructing one of their own from Putnam County. So, there are some options, but they're going to wait on the wash bay to see how that referendum vote goes, but it'll probably be it's going to be part of our plan, our shared services plan. We're going to make it part of it. But if the vote is approved in October and Carmel Schools is going to construct a wash bay, then
Then we have to negotiate with Carmel School District on what we're able to do.
correct, to send our vehicles there. Yep. So that's where I'm at. It's a lot of good stuff. It's a lot of work from all the towns and villages. They're all participating. Even Phillipstown has people there. The village of Cold Spring has representatives. The village of Brewster's there. So they're all there. They're all participating in this. So we'll see where it goes. If it saves the taxpayers money, in the end, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? But, what we don't want to lose on the local level, we don't want to lose a level of services that our taxpayers are used to.
Yeah.
All right? And that's one of my concerns, is that they may not get that same level of service if they have to drive somewhere else to get that particular service. They're used to coming here. This is their town, so. So there's still some, it's a workable document. It's fluid. It's evolving, but that's where we're at right now. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that I might be able to answer?
No, I think it's good. I'd like to read it. Yeah,
Anything?
it'd be
Okay.
nice.
So
Yeah.
so it's a lot. I mean, it's all of this plus about some more. All right. So
Just real quick, I just want to say, tonight we had some spirited discussion, but my philosophy is always, it's okay to agree to disagree, and I think each and every one of us has respect for all of us on here. So town, don't worry, we're all fighting for pretty much the same thing, to save the taxpayers' money. Yep, that was it.
probably nobody disagrees more than you and I do at times.
Yeah, I know. But we're still friends.
But I haven't walked out of any meetings
I know.
lately.
Not in a year and a half.
Yeah, but we're still friends.
I know.
And we still
Not in a year
respect
and a
each
half,
other.
Yes.
So,
Yes, so, spirited
All right.
discussions are always good.
yeah, they are. All right, so we do have executive session tonight, unless anybody else
Yep.
has anything else? No? All right, we have executive session, Police Chief Mike Kazari, it's a personnel matter, and Justices Jacobellis and Spofford also would like to meet with the board to discuss a personnel matter. We're going to be closing the meeting from executive session. Sir, did you have anything that you wanted to bring up? I'm sorry. Were you here for new business, or did you come in late?
We really didn't have new business. We did it quickly.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry, because come on up.
I'll speak to the black bags, if that's.
Oh, no.
Black bags,
Which black bags?
black bags.
The garbage,
Oh,
the recycling.
oh, the recycling bags. Oh, okay, come on up. Sure, I apologize. We almost left you here.
This is 2 times. I'm Russ Braun, Mayapack resident. I'll speak to those, the bags. I mean, the vendor is dictating what he wants to have done?
State is.
Pardon me?
I believe it's mandated.
Mandated.
Mandated by what?
Because where they bring the recyclables to,
Yes?
that facility
Yes.
that separates them
Yeah.
has requested that please do not drop your recyclables off in plastic bags.
In
They're asking-
plastic
in-
bags.
In plastic bags, like a plastic
I
garbage
understand,
bag.
I understand
Yeah,
that.
they wanted,
I spoke to the guys in the trenches. Now, you understand my situation. I have an off-road thing that I pay for, four families pay for, okay? I spoke to my two guys, okay? The regular garbage guy and my recycle guy today. And I said, Nick, what do you want me to do? Because they have to pick up. They don't have a thing on their truck. They've got to physically pick up that blue recycle situation, okay? So it doesn't seem fair to him, and it also doesn't seem fair to people that have to dump stuff, and because the plastic bags have to go away anyway.
right.
You know, they got to go somewhere. They got to be recycled. So you don't put the plastic bags, so you dump your tomato sauce and then you're going to have to an extra wash out that barrel all the time.
Yeah.
You know, who's dictating what's happening?
My personal-
AAA is saying, hey, well, then tell them to go to a different facility. Or if, and these guys both said, you know, it's not that, it's the black bags. Maybe clear bags, maybe blue bags.
Okay.
Might cost us, might not.
How do you put yours in, Russ? You just put them, you put yours in a bag, then you put it in the tote?
I had been,
Okay, all
you know,
right.
but now, what I did was I took my black bag out of the garage
Yeah.
where I throw all the recycle stuff. No, and I put it into the blue thing, and I saw Nikki, and I said, listen, man, I'll leave it open for you. All you got to do is pull that bag out and throw it into the truck,
Okay.
you know? So
Right.
it just doesn't seem like a vendor should be dictating what we should be
Well,
doing.
they're asking if our residents would do that, would not.
Yeah,
put
well,
them-
they're asking, so-
So I'm sure there's some people that aren't going to do it. They're asking that they don't. They're asking.
I don't want to be in violation.
No, I know.
God
I know.
forbid. But this is that part of the
This
meeting.
is, yeah, this is,
Okay,
that
then
was
I'll-
from
then
AAA.
Then I'll shut up.
All right. No,
Did you hear something else from another meeting?
no. Yeah, did you have something else, Russ? From another, you mentioned another meeting. Oh, from previous meetings. Got it. I'm looking into the sign issue, by the way. I'm looking into that. You don't have to come back up. I'm looking into that issue you brought up a week or so ago at Tea Kettle and Kennecott, Tea Kettle and Kennecott. I have a sign that I think will work. But I have to run it by the highway superintendent.
And also the Bucks Hollow.
Yes, Bucks Hollow stop sign.
That was two from 4 years ago now. We got
Yeah, we're working on that, Russ. Yeah. What, did you have something else?
He has more stuff.
So how come you went back?
Because
You could have
he-
stayed up there.
He thought you had to go from, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
come on.
Russ, we're completely done, so you come up
No, we're
and you
done.
got
Come
the
on up.
mic.
Nope. You could cover whatever you have on.
Oh, good, oh, boy.
Three-
Sizzle back. No.
You have 3 minutes though, Russ.
I know. You know what I'd like to have? I'd like to have one of those speed monitors on Tea Kettle Spout Road that will give them some information on how fast guys are going
Speed trailer.
on my road.
Yeah, we could do that. A speed trailer.
Because I take my life in my hands, putting my mail in the mailbox in the morning, okay?
Call it, Dear
That
Mayor
will
Chief.
give the police an idea of what people are doing here. you know?
Okay, on Tea Kettle.
I'd give them 35, I'd write it 45. Okay?
All right, that's
Okay, all right.
And my road.
Your
I
road.
My wrecked road because of the big truck. And you said last week, well, I'll call them and see if they can put a smaller truck. The road's ruined.
Your private road, right?
Yeah.
That's something that, if that's an issue, if there's damage been to your road,
Yeah.
that it's been done, and you're stating that it's been done by the AAA trucks,
Sure.
that's something, I hate to say this, and don't get mad at me for saying it,
No.
but that's between you and AAA.
It's not
It's
between me and
between you-
AAA. It's me
it's-
and AAA and you because
No.
you contracted
It-
AAA
it-
without my knowledge.
If AAA's truck damaged your road, a private
No,
road.
I'm saying over time, okay? You came up with the idea of, hey, we're going to go townwide with a AAA garbage pickup, okay? And I yelled about it because I like my garbage guy, all right?
Town
But
is saving about
now
$2
I'm-
million a year.
Pardon me?
The town is saving about $2 million a year, taxpayers.
But I'm not. It's costing me and my three neighbors because we have a private road, okay? So, yes, okay, I agree. I agree with that. But,
You know what I'll do, Mr. Braun?
yeah,
I'll personally call AAA
sure.
and speak to the owner and ask them if they could send a smaller truck onto your road.
That's, the horse has left the barn, man.
You want your road fixed?
Yeah.
Well, we can't fix it. It's a private road. We can't fix, we can't.
Then, yeah, but, you know, I don't
It
think
would be-
my neighbors are going to go for an attorney because there wouldn't be any contingent fees.
You know who's not going to allow us to fix your road? That guy right there.
Sir?
Oh, they pass
What?
it.
I'm passing it over to, it would be a gift of public funds, and we can't do that. It would be
Can't
considered,
understand.
it would be considered a gift of public funds.
Let Greg know.
All right, Greg,
Greg, go
Greg,
ahead.
can you answer that?
If you were to repair a private road,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you would encounter the issue of whether it was a gift of public funds, very likely would be. The vendor has provided insurance that provides protection to the town of Carmel, and if there's a claim of any type of damage, because we've come across it before, not just with this vendor, with other vendors, the people have the right to take it directly to the vendor, and my recollection is there's been 1 or 2 prior claims, and the engineering department who administers the garbage contract has provided that particular vendor's insurance information for the people to deal with claims adjusters from that carrier for those claims.
Put a claim in.
So,
Did you hear that?
so where do I go? I put a claim in with AAA?
Wi-
Maybe.
With them or with their carrier, and the engineering department can provide the information for
The engineering department here?
Correct.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's
Or the
good.
claims
I can do
examiner's
that, and
address.
then maybe they're insured, and that'll be fine. I mean, I'm not looking for an entire road. I mean, we're not, you know, I'm looking, we have potholes going into my road off T-Kel that you rock in the car. And that's because of the big trucks. Little trucks, that doesn't do me any good. Not now, it's done.
Don't even, okay.
After,
All right,
if they do fix it, absolutely little trucks.
okay. Okay.
All right? So I think I'm finished, but, you know, I got one more thing, and I don't know whether I should do it or you guys, or maybe everybody knows about it. The other day, my wife has a lot of trouble hearing, okay? And I said, let me call, I don't know, who should I call? Medicare, Aetna, you know, to see if we can get some kind of a phone that has a.
Oh, the
you know,
hearing,
a-
the hearing impaired phones, yes.
So she had an appointment down with Miracle Ear, and I called, you know, the lady at Miracle Ear, and she, no, don't worry about it, Mr. Braun, it's free. And we're getting a phone Friday,
You
It's-
are? Good.
yes,
You got
ma'am.
it Friday? Good.
And it's from the American Disabilities Act. Everybody's entitled to it.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I mean, I thought you should know, I'm
Yeah,
probably in the
thank
wrong
you.
venue, I should go over to
Well, no,
senior-
you just-
some kind of
Because
senior
of the
citizen center or
residents.
something.
You just let the residents know also.
Yeah, so that's
I
great,
did
thank
what?
you.
You let the residents know, because this is taped, this is, people are
You're
watching
live.
this at home.
I know, but
So,
you know,
and-
I didn't know whether it was my, should I do it or should I give it to you?
No, you
You
just
just
did.
did it.
It's great, thank you.
You,
But the fellow at Miracle Ear made the phone call.
Mm-hmm.
These people called me back.
Yep,
They're coming on Friday.
We have 2 judges.
very nice.
And they're putting it, all you need is a Wi-Fi and a place to plug the
Mm-hmm.
phone in.
Mr. Braun?
And a electric, you know,
All right,
to
thank
run
you.
that phone.
All right.
So,
You all set, Mr. Braun?
I guess so, I don't know.
All right, we have, the judges are
I'll
waiting
see
for
you in
us.
4
and-
years.
And the police chief? All right. Thanks for coming. All right. Okay.
Executive session?
Yeah, executive session. I need a motion. So moved by Councilman McDonough, seconded by Councilman Schneider and Lupinacci. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Good night, everyone. Be well. See you next week. Susie's running the meeting next week because I'll be on vacation. A what?